So if you've been affected by the recent Google core updates, Google spam updates, and Google helpful content updates, in this video, I just want to share some of the things that I've been doing on my website that it looks like it has been helping. And I also want to go through some of the things moving forward that I believe you can do that will help ensure that your website not only survives, but also thrives during all of these new Google updates. So if you look at my search traffic, you can see that from March, the traffic hasn't really changed much. If anything, it's actually a little bit higher compared to what it was at the end of last year. So as of recording this video right now, it doesn't look like the website has been majorly affected by the most recent March update, but of course the update is still rolling out and things could change in the future. But as of right now, it doesn't look like there's a big change, which is good because I know a lot of other websites have been negatively affected. However, if we go to the full report and we zoom out a little bit, you'll see that the website was affected. If we go back to the last 6 months, you'll see the website was affected a little bit by the update that happened around September, October, and you can see that the traffic did drop a little bit towards the end of last year. So what I want to do in this video is show you some of the things that I did towards the end of the year to increase the traffic and get it back up a little bit, as you can see here, and some of the things that I'm doing moving forward that I believe will help you to be able to not just survive, but also thrive in these new Google updates that are coming out. So the first thing that I did when I noticed a drop in traffic, I checked to see if there were any manual penalties or anything like that, and there were no issues with manual penalties. My website was still indexed. The only thing that had happened was that the keyword rankings had dropped a little bit for some of the keywords that I was targeting. So what I did when that happened is just look at the articles that dropped in rankings and compare those articles to the websites that were ranking on the first page of Google. And what I did is I just went through those articles, and if I truly compare the articles completely objectively, I do think that there were some things from a quality standpoint that weren't as good as some of the articles that were ranking on the first page of Google. So all I did is I went back to those articles and improve them. And I'm not just improving the articles that lost rankings, but I'm actually going through every single article on my website one by one and just making sure that the quality is as high as it possibly can be. I think it's going to take me probably about 3 months to finish going through all of the articles and pages on my website and make sure that they are as good as they can be. But I can see that as I do this, there does seem to be an improvement in the traffic. So I have prioritized the articles that dropped in rankings, but I'm also improving all of the articles on my website because I think that will help with the overall perception of my website in Google's eyes. So to give you a real life example, one of the articles that I dropped in rankings was targeting the keyword how to get sales appointments, which is exactly what I do. So I help business owners get more sales appointments. And you can see that I originally was in the top 3 positions, but if we scroll down, you can see I'm not really there anymore. And if we go all the way down, you can now see I'm in position 12. So this is one of the articles that I've just recently improved. I think it was in the last few days when I improved this article. So I need to wait and see if now that I've improved it, it will jump up the rankings again. But just to show you what I did to improve it is I looked at the websites that were ranking on the first page and I just have a look at what it is that they're talking about. I have a look at how many words they're using in the article and what kind of things the top results all talk about. And then I try to make my article the same, if not better than the articles that are already ranking. Now, you can do this for free just by going to Google and analyzing the top websites and seeing what they say and then making sure that you cover the same stuff and more stuff, and if not even better stuff that they already cover. Or you can also use the Surfer audit tool. This is actually what I've been using. So if you go, for example, here, so you'll see it was actually on Thursday, March the 21st. So yeah, a few days ago when I updated this article. And all you need to do is you type in the keyword that you want to rank for inside of Surfer, and then you type in your URL, and then it will give you a score out of 100 to tell you how well optimized your website is compared to the competitors. So originally, I think this was around the 40 number or something like that. But what I've done now after improving it, you see it's jumped up to 68. So I didn't bother going any higher than that because again, this is just a tool. It's not 100% perfect. It's not like if you get a score out of 100, it means you're definitely going to rank. It doesn't work like that. It's just to give you a rough idea of how well optimized your article is based on the words that you're using, the headings, the length, the images and things like that, just to give you a rough idea. So all I really wanted to do was get it into the green area where it's good and then make sure it's higher than the competitor websites, which which it now is. But you can see here, it gives you a bunch of suggestions in terms of what keywords to use. It actually says this article is actually a little bit too long compared to some of the other articles, but I think that's okay because I do want to provide a little bit more value in the article. But again, it gives you the average length of the other articles that are ranking on the first page, and it just gives you suggestions on what to do to improve it. So it is definitely an improvement from where it was a few months ago when it dropped in rankings. So we'll have to wait and see as time goes on to see if the rankings jump back up. But this is pretty much what I've been doing, going through all of my articles one by one and just checking to see if they can be improved and made better. Hey, so just as a quick update, it's been almost a week since I recorded the video that you're watching right now, and I just searched for how to get more sales appointments, and I noticed that the rankings have actually already jumped up over here. So let's just count. It looks like it's in now position number 1, 2, and 3. So it's gone up all the way to position number 3 in less than a week, just by improving the article in the way that I've showed you in this video. One of the other things I'm doing, if we actually click on the article and show you what it looks like, I'm actually trying to go through and simplify the article. So I noticed that a lot of the articles that I've seen are ranking on the first page of Google. Actually, I can give you another good example of this, of another article I recently improved that dropped in rankings. So this was for the keyword AI lead generation tools. So originally I was also ranked in the top 3 of this. You can see it's now position 12, but actually this has improved. This completely dropped in rankings towards the end of last year, but I have managed to improve it and get it back up to position 12, but I'm still working on getting it higher again. But anyway, if you look at the number 1 result, which is quite interesting, if you look at this article, you'll see that it doesn't go into a lot of detail in, what these AI tools actually do. It's very, very simple. And actually, if you really read it, it doesn't even look like that this website or whoever wrote it has actually used any of these tools. It's just very standard stuff that it says in there. And sometimes it even looks like it was written by AI, which is quite interesting that this would be ranking number 1 when it doesn't really have anything that says this website has personal experience in using these tools. Whereas my article, it went into a lot of detail because I've used most of the tools that I mentioned in the article that I wrote. So I actually had screenshots of how it worked and the pros and the cons and how it all compared to other tools, and I genuinely believe that it was more detailed and helpful article. However, at the end of the day, Google isn't ranking it first, they're ranking this article first, which is a lot more simple and to the point. So this tells me people don't really want to see the details of what every single tool can do. They just want to know what are the best tools, and then just go ahead and use those tools, and they can go to the website to learn more about the tool if they want to. So what I did on my article more recently is I simplified it. I made it more similar to the way that this article was structured. I still included some of the personal experience part of it because I do think that will help in the future as Google continues to roll out more updates moving forward. But originally I had lots and lots of different headings inside of each tool to really go into detail. It was like a mini review for each tool mentioned in the article, but I just got rid of that and I just simplified it, and that's how I saw the rankings jump back up to position number 12. And I think in time, as Google sees who are the people that are clicking on the article and going to it, they'll see the results improve. Let's just actually see what kind of traffic we're getting right now. So about 200 visitors each month. So that is a slight improvement from what it was about a month ago. So nothing huge, but I do think this will continue to improve as time goes on. Hey, so just as another quick update, since recording the video, it's been less than a week, and I have noticed that the traffic has jumped up actually 24%. From where it was about a week ago. And the reason for this is I've noticed it started to creep up the rankings for different keywords. So one of the keywords that I noticed it started to rank better was for the keyword best AI lead generation software. And originally it was on page 2. But now if we go down, you can see that Upwork is still in the number 1 position. Then we have this other website in number 2. But now my website has jumped up to the number 3 position. And again, this is in less than a week, just by improving the article and making it similar to what was already ranking on the first page of Google. So I just copied what they did. I tried to improve what they've done. And of course, I added my own unique personal experience so that it's not an exact identical copy of the articles that are already ranking first on Google. So that's the first thing I recommend that you do. Go through all of your articles and make sure they are as good as they possibly can be when compared to the websites already ranking on the first page of Google. So you might think it's the best article. I certainly know that for a lot of my articles, articles, I think that they're better than what's already out there. But if Google doesn't think so, then it doesn't really matter. So you really need to analyze, what does Google think deserves to be at the first page, and then make your page or your blog similar to that, and then improve what is already on the first page. So this now is a little bit more structured in a simple way, but it actually goes into detail. So for example, when we talk about customers.ai in the other article, it just mentioned a brief overview of the tool, but this one actually has screenshots of how I've used the tool and what kind of results I've been getting from it. So that's something I've tried to incorporate into the article, and hopefully Google will reward the article for that because it shows that personal experience. Now, the second thing that I recommend that you do is delete content or articles or pages that are not relevant to what your website or your business is about. So one of the things that I did a few years ago is I started creating content on things that weren't really relevant to lead generation or digital marketing. And this is my trash right here in WordPress. And you can see I had articles on the best pixel art maker, the best paper for art print, so the best drawing software apps, and a bunch of things like this. These were just affiliate articles to generate passive income. And a few years ago, 1 to 2 years ago, they did rank really well for these different keywords, even though it wasn't something that I'm an expert. However, Google have specifically said in their latest updates that they don't want you creating content just because you can rank for it. So if we look at Google's guidelines here on creating helpful, reliable, and people-first content, if we scroll down to the bottom where it says avoid creating search engine first content, you'll see that it says, is the content primarily made to attract visits from search engines? And are you producing lots of content on many different topics? So that's the key point there, different topics, in hopes that some of it might perform well in search engines. So this is one of the things I was doing. So I was creating content outside of what I would officially consider myself an expert in, simply because they would rank, right? And it would rank, it would get affiliate income. However, I have noticed that as time has gone on, the results from doing this are getting worse. So even though some of these articles were still getting some traffic, because it's not really the focus of what I do as a business, I just got rid of those articles in the hopes that it will help the other articles more focused on marketing and lead generation and things like that, that those articles will now perform better because Google will see that I'm creating content just specialized on one topic. So in your website, if you have noticed a drop in your traffic, just ask yourself, have you created content that talks about different topics that you're not really an expert in? And if you have, I would consider deleting those and just focus on creating topics and articles and pages on things that you are an expert and things that you actually want to rank for. And for me and my business, that's things related to lead generation, digital marketing, getting more sales appointments, and using AI and technology to help you with marketing and things like that. And that's why I've deleted a bunch of these different articles. And speaking of deleting content, I also recommend that you go back and look and see if you have any low quality content. So there were some articles that I created that when I just looked at them, I just didn't think that they were really good quality. So these are two examples of these articles that I created. So your option here is to either improve the article or to just delete it and improve it later. Since I have a lot of articles to go through on my website and content about AI apps for business owners or AI assistants, it isn't really geared too much towards marketing. So something else I would consider is deleting content that is very low quality, because I think that could harm how Google views your website overall. The next thing I suggest that you do is also make sure that you have good core web vitals with Google. So if we go to core web vitals here, you'll see one of the mistakes that I made towards the beginning of this year is that I actually changed the speed plugin that I was using on my WordPress website. So you can see it was originally good, and then with a new plugin, it started to say URLs need improvement, and it kind of bounced around a little bit. And then it just stayed with URLs need improvement. So what I've done more recently, this again is a very recent change, is I've now gone ahead and changed the plugin. I've gone back to the original plugin that I was using, which is this plugin here, NitroPack. This plugin I found works really well to optimize the speed of your website, and it's super easy to use. You don't need to do anything technical. You just install the WordPress plugin and it makes sure that your website is as fast as it possibly can be. So when I was using this originally, I did have good core web vitals. Now they've gone back down again. So you can see they all need to be improved. And since having good core web vitals and having a fast loading website is important and it does affect your rankings according to Google, I think this is pretty much a no-brainer just to make sure your website loads as fast as it possibly can do. So you can just go to your Google Search Console and go to core web vitals to see how you're doing with that. And then once you've installed a new plugin, if you go to open report and if you click on whatever issue that you have, so you can see I've started validation on both of these issues, but on your end, if you click on one of the issues that you have. You can click on a button that says fix this or validate fix or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it says, but it will give you the option to say to Google that you fixed it. And you can see I did this on the 13th of March. And then in about 28 days, it will let you know if the issue is fixed or not. And if it is, then your affected URLs will go back to green and everything will be good. And then you won't have any more Core Web Vital issues. So I don't think this will affect your rankings in a massive way, but every little does help when it comes to just squeezing the highest amount of rank possible with your website. So this is definitely a good idea as a best practice. The next thing I suggest that you do is consider removing or improving your thin content on your website. So one of the problems I had on my website is that if you go to my results page, you'll notice that I have different testimonials from different clients. But if you click on any of these links, you'll see that it doesn't have a lot of content on these pages. So if I click on this one, for example, you'll see it's a very short case study, and that's pretty much about it. So very, very short. And this is what I would consider thin content. And I think Google would probably consider this as well, just because, it doesn't really go into a ton of detail. This isn't something that is likely to be found on search engines. And it's the same for all of the content that I have on my results page. So if you have a testimonial page, or if you have pages on your website that would potentially be thin content, I would suggest either option A, increase the amount of content that's on the page so that there's more value on that page, or option B, you can just make the page not appear on search engines. So I went with the latter option and I just changed the setting in WordPress. So I use the Yoast SEO plugin to do this. And what I did is I just changed the settings so that these pages would no longer be indexed by Google. And that is something else that I think will help, because it means that the pages that are indexed on Google will all be very high quality, and I'm not going to have any thin pages or any low quality pages according to Google. So I'm not 100% sure how much this will affect the website rankings. This is just a new thing that I thought of doing, but of course I will keep you updated on how things progress over the next few months. And I did also have other pages that might have been a little bit thin. So what I've done, for example, on the services pages, the training pages, the done for you pages, I just expanded on them a little bit more. So I added all these extra things that go through the different services we provide with links to relevant content and things like that. I went through some of the most popular types of leads that we generate, added some FAQs and things like that, just to try and make sure that there's enough content on the pages so that they can provide as much value as possible and Google doesn't think that it has thin content or anything like that. So once you've cleaned up your current website, you've improved your current content, you've removed any thin content, and you've also made sure your website loads fast and you have good core web vitals, the next thing I would suggest to do is to start creating additional content that focuses on one specific topic. So if you wanted to rank at the top of Google for a keyword related to web design, as an example, you want to make sure that you really go deep on that topic and you create as much content as possible, all related to web design. And you can brainstorm some ideas by using Answer the Public. So you could type in web design and just get some ideas of what kind of things you could talk about. So if you scroll down, you can get different ideas on questions related to web design, and you can go even deeper and answer different questions related to the topic you want to rank for, but you can customize it with a niche. So you could do web design for accountants, or web design for plumbers, or web design for whoever it is that you want to target, right? That will make it even easier for you to rank for these different keywords. And you're not going to get as much traffic for every single page that you create, but it will be easier to rank. And all of the pages that you do create, even if you just get a few hundred visitors each month from each keyword or from each page, those few hundred visitors do start to add up. And because these keywords are more specific, they are also more likely to convert into clients. And then the final thing you can do to really boost your rankings is focus on building high quality backlinks. So be very careful when you're getting backlinks and try to make sure that the websites that you're getting backlinks from don't just have a good domain rating, because sometimes that's not always 100% accurate in terms of how trustworthy the website is, but try to get links from websites that actually have traffic. And if they actually have organic traffic going to their website, that tells you that Google most likely views this website in a positive way. That's why they're getting traffic. So you'll see for some of the most recent links that I've got, you can see, for example, a link from this website, which has a DR70. It has 28,000 monthly traffic visits. This would be a good quality website to get a link from. Whereas if there was another website that had a high domain rating, but it didn't get a lot of traffic, I would probably avoid that. Of course, something to keep in in mind is that the traffic estimates on Ahrefs are not very accurate at all. In my experience, they're usually much lower than what they say. So for example, I think Ahrefs says that I get about 1,000 visits a month, when in reality it's actually over 10,000 visits a month from search engines. So whatever you see in Ahrefs, in my experience, the reality is usually a lot higher. So just keep in mind, even if the traffic looks low, like this one, it says it's only 1,500 visits, chances are the real traffic is actually much higher. So it could still be a good website to get a link from. And something else I'll be experimenting with over the next few months is also generating links through PR. So I'm going to be running a PR campaign to see how that affects the rankings moving forward. And the PR campaign, the goal from that is really to do two things. Number one, just get more citations, more mentions of my brand on different high authority websites so that it helps with building up trust with Google. And the second thing is to also just get more links from higher quality and high authority websites. So I think this will be a very natural and organic way to get links, which is completely white hat. You know, it's not doing anything dodgy or anything that would break Google's rules, because you're generating links naturally. So that's something else I'll be testing over the next few months to see how that affects the rankings. So these are just a few of my suggestions to potentially help you improve the rankings and the traffic from your website. But feel free to leave a comment if you have any other ideas of your own, or if there's anything else you're experimenting with that you think will help moving forward. And if you want to learn how to convert all of the traffic that you get from your website into leads, appointments, and clients, then be sure to check out my free masterclass training, where I go through how to get 10, 15, 30 or more high quality appointments each month in a way that is automated, predictable, profitable, and scalable. So just click the link in the description of this video to sign up for my free masterclass training, which goes through how that all works in more detail. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.